Hi, listeners, and welcome back to the Digestible Podcast, where we give you all the health and wellness information you need in an amount of time that your busy day can handle. And we make it easily digestible. I'm Stacy, here with my sister Melissa. And today we have, back by very popular demand, Mark, our physical therapist. But before we talk all about Mark, let's just get into it for a second. Are you looking down at your phone right now? Are you noticing everyone on the street looking down at their phone? Are you worried about your neck? Are you worried about everybody else's neck? I look at my kids, I'm worried about their necks. So today we're going to talk about tech neck and posture and all the things that go along with it. Missy, tell us a little bit about Mark.
Okay, and don't forget, we're also going to talk about sciatica, which is a very common ailment a lot of us suffer from, including myself.
Oh, that's right.
And yeah, so we do also talk about that a bit. And we even told Mark, and you'll hear this, there are so many topics that we could cover with that man. So we're going to have him back on again, because we know that a lot of us walk around with these aches and pains, and he can help us out. So yes, we have Mark Payares. He holds a clinical doctorate in physical therapy. He has also earned certifications in coaching for cycling and triathlons, in addition to being a certified bike fitter with the International Bike Fitters Institute. Mark is a Southern California native who currently lives in the Chicagoland area, where he is an outpatient physical therapist for a large hospital system. He also has his own private practice called Lotus One Ride Lab, where he does custom bike fitting and cycling, triathlon, and Ironman coaching. So we're so happy to have Mark back, and enjoy this episode.
Enjoy. Back by popular demand. Welcome back to the podcast, Mark. We're so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me back. I'm excited again.
Yeah, we have so many things we want to talk to you about today.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get through it all. We'll see.
We'll just create a list and check them all off as we go.
So let's start at a very hot topic, and I don't know if others notice this in their children or other adults that they see walking around outside, but everyone's got their neck bent down into their phone, and I think it's really concerning. I know it's called tech neck. Tell us about it. How do we counteract it? What do we do to prevent it? What can happen if we let it get bad?
When we see people clinically, we just call it a postural dysfunction, right? So, and of course, everything needs a name. So, technique, right? So basically, it's stiffness and or discomfort associated with kind of looking down, just kind of bad posture. And I hesitate to say that because bad posture comes with a lot of discussion, a lot of controversy. And so, doctors, physicians, they say your best posture is your next posture, right? So what we educate is what gets us in trouble is the static positioning. So if we are doing this all day long with our phone or...
And for the listeners, his head is tilted down, looking at a phone.
With a book, we're being cued by what we're focusing on to cue that posture. If we do it for 5 minutes, maybe no big deal. But if we do it for hours on end, say for our occupation, that's what creates a problem. So anyone that's behind a computer, anyone that's doing a lot of desk work, they're just sitting, they're just static, and they're staring at something. Even if we're on a team, someone's on a Teams meeting or Zoom call, it's the not moving, the static posturing that gets people in trouble. And when we do it day after day after day, year after year after year, we start to see changes and people start to have discomfort and pain, and then they come and see us, and then we have to teach, trying to break that posture. So I tell people to do yeses and nos when they're behind a computer. So nodding their head up and down.
We're all nodding our heads.
Turning it left and right, to activate those muscles and get those joints kind of lubricated and moving. So, so tech neck is, it's not only just the neck, but it's the upper back or the upper thoracic spine. And so when someone comes into me, I tell them the first rule is gravity always wins. So if we're focused on something in front of us, we become less aware of our posture. So we start to slouch. because we're focused on what it is in front of us, and we start to lose that awareness. And so some people will have like a post-it that says just posture or sit upright or whatever it is.
That's a nice
just
idea.
To cue them. They need a visual cue. Some people need an alarm on their phone. Whatever it takes, whatever works for that person, we need to break that posture and cue them to start moving. And it affects everything up and down the spine. And it also affects, I know we're talking about spine today, but it also affects other joints. People that have maybe some knee arthritis, they get up from a chair and they're like, my knees feel stiff for the first 30 seconds or a minute, and then they start moving, they feel better. So it's not just the neck. Call it tech bod, I don't know, but
Tech bod.
bod.
I like the new term.
Bad bod. Sorry.
Tech bod.
So this can start with like kids, right? Because like my daughter, if like there's a day every once in a while we sort of forget that we let her be on the iPad a little longer than we should have, maybe like over an hour, she'll go, Mom, my back hurts. And she's a child, and their bodies are so
bendy.
Yes, exactly. Or I know this young man who owned a tech company, and his whole like teenage years he was sitting hunched over a computer, and so he has back problems, and he's in his 30s. And so this is a thing. And aren't our bodies really, when we're still, our bodies are supposed to be resting, right? So we sleep, or if we take a minute to rest, but our bodies really aren't meant to sit still for long periods of time. Is that right?
Right. We are designed to move. And when we rest, when we're sleeping, I mean, that's one thing. Our bodies are recovering, but hopefully we've spent a good portion of our day moving. It's when we go to work and we don't move, and then we go home, we move a little bit, and then we don't move for 8 hours, called sleep. That's when it becomes a problem. And that example reminds me, early in my career, I saw a kid. He was junior high. And because he went home, he was playing video games. And this kid was so tight. He was very slumped over, very rolled shouldered. His hip flexors were really tight. His knees were tight. I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening so early. So it's not just the iPads, not just the phones, it's the video games. Because when they're sitting in the couch and they're, with their buddies next to them or plugged in now, they're chatting via headphones, they start to, and I'm sliding in my chair, they start to slide back because this is more comfortable. They get their feet up, and then all of a sudden they're looking at the screen and they're very forward head posture. And again, gravity always wins. So if they do that day after day after day, that's when we start to see it, see these postural changes. Even in the short term, if there's someone's doing something for 30 minutes, especially if they're bendy, if they're weak, or whatever the case may be, they're going to start to feel some discomfort because they're just locked into whatever they're watching or doing.
So, I mean, when I grew up, I mean, there were video games, but we weren't like as video game obsessed as the world is today. But like, we played a lot, but I also read a lot. And so reading, you're kind of in that same position. How come we weren't having the same problems?
Or were we?
Because
I don't think we were.
That's a good question. I think because we were playing more. I think that's exactly right. I think we were playing more. So we had a better balance of static or more passive activities versus very active stuff. I think now people are more static than ever because we are so much more reliant on the technology. So I think we had a better balance. I think we're way out of balance these days.
I just had this random thought. If you finished a book, you'd have to get up and go to the bookshelf and put it back and get another book out. If you're reading a newspaper, you got to move your arms. Now you don't have to do anything. You just use your fingers to get to a new book, to a new article.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about the newspaper. I remember my dad in the mornings, he'd be up at 4:30 in the morning reading his newspaper, having coffee, and he'd be doing exactly that. He'd be upright, he'd be looking at the paper like this. Books, I think people, they might have it on a desk. That's one thing, but there are solutions to the book position to help that. But I think exactly that is when we read books more, I think we played more. Now that we're on these devices, we're sitting here either reading our book or scrolling or whatever it is, and again, we're out of balance. And a lot of people that we're seeing now older, all that time that they weren't moving has now caught up, and that's usually the case with a lot of everything. What we didn't do, if we smoked for 10, 15 years, there was probably a time that it affected us until our lungs were able to heal. If we didn't exercise, if we didn't eat right for decades or whatever, it caught up to us until we made the changes to allow our body to heal.
Right.
So what's the solution? Like, what do we say? Like, I've got, Misty's got younger kids. I have, teenagers and young adults. They're all bent like this. I mean, I can only nag them so much. Like, how should we be holding our phones, or what should we be saying to them? Like, hey, if you're gonna look at your phone, make sure you do a couple big yeses and nos. Like, what's
I think
solution?
they need reminders. I think, I know for our listeners, they're not going to see this, but one solution is we hold our phone, we take with the other hand, we support our elbow as if we're kind of crossing, and we hold it up this way. That way this arm's not getting too tired. So
holding your phone up in front of your face rather than down in your lap.
Right. So holding
using
outward,
your other
but
arm
supporting
to support
the elbow.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see all the funny things we're doing with our hands right now. Okay. So we're holding our opposite elbow and holding our phone in that supported arm. So it's out here.
And we're holding it right in front of us so that our visual cue is straight in front of us, and we're not having to change our head position.
Okay.
And I think for our kids, it's, I don't know, I think everyone's got a different solution. I think, maybe it's, okay, you have to go out and play for an hour before you get 15 minutes of screen time. I mean, my daughter's 4, and she, I was telling Stacy before we went live was that, our ride to preschool is about 6-7 minutes. And I give her the opportunity to look at a screen because it's very short. But I do see her with the phone almost in her lap, and she's looking down, and I tell her just to bring her head up, just so that it doesn't create the habit, right? And I think that's a lot of this is we introduce a new movement, we reinforce it, it's repetitive, it carries over day after day, and all of a sudden it's very normal just to look down or to have very slumped posture. Some critics say, don't criticize bad posture because even perfect posture can hurt. So if someone's sitting behind a computer and they are very upright, their posture looks amazing, they could still hurt because they're not moving. So the key is movement.
So moving every 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, motion is lotion. I love that. I've heard that. People say that back to me.
Yeah.
Mark, so that was a great, it's a really easy way to remember how to move your joints. Motion is lotion.
The joints, the cartilage gets replenished when we start moving, and when we don't move, I mean, there's another theory about inflammation or chronic inflammation that affects the cartilage, but in general, our joints need that movement to kind of buff the wax that's on the end of our bones or in those articulating joints. And when we don't, then it starts to fade, and then we have to look at other solutions.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what are some simple exercises other than our yeses and our nos? What are some other things we can do to help our necks?
So aside from yeses and nos, we teach people it's called the cervical retraction. That may mean nothing to a lot of people. It's basically turtling. So turtle head back into its shell. So going back, and you may feel pressure at the base of your skull, and that can help to counteract some of the forward head posture that is cued from what we're staring at in front of us.
So we're pushing our chin and our head back and giving ourselves like a double chin. If we can.
Yeah, kind of a double chin, yeah.
My husband's had posture issues because he was also in front of a computer as a young person, and his spine's a little curved, and he'll do that. Mm-hmm. He'll stand up against a wall or a pole, and he'll put his head back, and we always make fun of him because he looks so silly. But the truth is, he's doing the right thing for
Yeah.
his
Yes.
and now I got to do it. He's also really good.
Yes.
He'll walk up behind us, like us being myself or the kids, and he'll put his finger in the middle of your back gently, just to remind you to sit up straight.
Yep.
So if he sees you're slouching, he'll just come up and gently, because he knows, because he's experienced all the results of not having great posture when you're young, and so he's trying to help us all. But it's sort of like one of those.
So it's
the
shoulders back and down.
Yeah, we don't want it forced. We want a gentle cue. We don't want to be sitting. We don't want to be walking around or sitting really forcibly bringing our shoulders back or retracting all the time. That's also going to get uncomfortable.
Okay.
It's a gentle correction, right?
Okay.
And it needs a cue. It needs either a visual cue with a Post-it, an alarm,
Right.
someone telling us or giving us
poke in the
the
back.
a poke in the back, a proprioceptive cue. The other one to do is to, depending on the chair, is to kind of lean back. That helps the thoracic spine get a little more extension, because
We're all doing this.
and we may have talked about this last time, but kyphosis gets that term. It gets a bad rep, because kyphosis is just a natural curve in the spine that talks about the convexity of that part of the spine. So the sacrum is a kyphosis. The thoracic spine is kyphosis. The lumbar spine and the neck are lordotic or lordosis curves. They're concave. And so that's what gives our spine its shock absorption ability. And when we slouch or overcorrect, then those curves get altered. And they're designed to do that. But as time goes, if we start to slouch more, then that kyphosis gets accentuated and we get a hyperkyphosis.
Is that when people have that little, like, almost like a lump at the top of their neck, between their neck and their back? That
The
little
dowager's hump? Is that what's called the dowager's hump?
That is a little different. So that is at the base of the neck and upper thoracic spine. The kyphosis of the thoracic spine is more in the mid back. So basically where your rib cage is.
So you said like leaning back a little bit helps. What about like if we took an exercise ball and like laid over it? Is that good?
Some people do that. I say there are many solutions to many problems. We have to find what works for us. What are we going to do? Like, some people don't have an exercise ball. Some people buy a ball, maybe they do it for 2 weeks, and then the ball sits around and collects dust, and then the kids come over and they play with it, and then it pops.
Right.
So it depends on what keeps us compliant, right? So
what works for
to
you?
each his own.
Okay.
Right. A chiropractor once told me to like lay on the edge of your bed with your head off the bed.
So
Does that work?
It can work for some people. So I have more of a McKinsey background, and there are progressions for the neck that basically do that very same thing. I worked with someone who, for two consecutive years, two different stints, and oh my gosh, she could not hold her head up. And I was like, oh my gosh, I said, you need to get in to see someone. So she worked with me, and the first year we could get her to hold her head up for a little bit, and then it came back down. And I said, okay, we need to stop, go do your exercises, I had her do Pilates. She liked Pilates, so she did that. She came to me the next year and she could hold her head up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, just seeing that, it chokes me up, because it affects people's lives. Who wants to go around walking just staring at the ground?
Right.
So these things can really affect people's lives positively. And that's what she did. She would hang over her bed. She would let her head kind of get to this natural traction, right? Because gravity always wins. So she got a little bit of traction, and that helped kind of her posture. Maybe the prolonged posturing helped her mid-back too, get into extension. And that helped her quite a bit. And I didn't see her after that.
Like, just your head is over the edge of the bed? So it's like
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's
like taking all the pressure off and letting your head hang.
There's a time and a place, and so people need to be very cognizant or very aware that if something hurts, then they may need to ease into it, right? Try a minute, because most people, human nature is, oh, this must be really good, so I'm going to do a lot of it. And so you're going to get some tissue adaptation, you may get some joint adaptation, or someone may need some guidance. So
Okay. 'Cause it sounds like it would hurt after like a pinch, like a pinching.
it may or may not.
Okay.
I think a lot of people like it. Some people's comfort, maybe they don't like that feeling of being upside down. So
Okay.
there's that,
Right.
but that it can be effective.
What
Wonder
about some
kids
of those posture devices?
Oh yeah, like the one that buzzes.
Well,
When they
I
put on
think
your
it
back?
buzzes. I think some just give you support. It almost looks kind of like a bra, but it's not.
Oh yeah.
I think
I
Taylor
actually bought
Swift
one
was.
once.
Oh, you did?
I
and I think
did.
Taylor Swift was seen like wearing them like when she was practicing for her tours or something, and they got a little more chatter. So, like, what do those help? Is that, or is it
They
just like
can
a cue?
help. They can. So it again, it's pick what works for you. In the clinic, we will do K-tape. We can do leukotape. Leukotape is like a very strong tape that doesn't give. There are shirts that will do that. There are devices that will do that. It's really pick what helps you the most. It is a cue, right? It's a constant cue. It's basically Melissa's husband with his finger in your back the whole day, right? So so really pick what works for you. But she's training herself. She's got this external cue, this device that cues her posture, and that hopefully the brain will assimilate, the body will assimilate, and then when she takes it off, that maybe how long can she hold a good posture until she needs it again, or if she, of course, as a PT, we back it up with exercises that help to retain that.
All right, let's talk about the weighted vests. So the weighted vests are on everyone. If I go outside my house and I see people walking, the men, the women, everyone's got a weighted vest on. I have a weighted vest. I actually found that when I wore it, it bothered my back, my lower back. So I was like, oh, maybe this is postural. So I've heard that some people are very anti-weighted vest because of the injuries that they're seeing.
Yeah.
So what's your take on the weighted vest, and how would we wear them properly so we don't hurt our back?
It's a great topic because if I'm out and about, it's like everyone's got them on. It's like crazy. It's like the new pair of Nikes that came out, right?
Yes.
It's funny because I recently bought a rucking sack. Basically, it's the same concept, right? And because I wanted the load. I think a lot of women are wearing weighted vests because of bone density, bone health, right?
Yes.
So, like anything, there is a proper way to introduce it. So, time and weight. So we need to start with an appropriate weight to start off with, maybe 10% of your body weight.
Okay.
And then we start with maybe 15, 20-minute walks until our body starts to adapt. And then we start to probably increase that volume of walking until we can get to, say, an hour. And then once you do that for a prolonged period of time, then we can start adding weight. So some people, yes, there are some professionals that are saying that it's great for your posture because it's going to pull you back. Actually, a rucksack will do that. Weighted vests, I think, are a little more evenly distributed. So it depends on what it's doing, where that weight is distributed, depends on the body status going into it. But I would say, I think for Stacy, I would say, what's the weight you use and how long did you walk for with it? If you went out for an hour, I'd say, yeah, that's probably a bit much. I noticed that extra weight because I put a 20-pound weight in my rucksack. I felt off. I felt like, whoa, this is weird. And then after a couple of weeks, I was like, my legs feel stronger. I feel more stable. It helped my balance. So it just depends.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but you have to maintain some good posture when you're doing it.
Imagine you have to use your core. You have to tighten your core.
Yes. Because with a rucksack, it wants to pull me back, so it's engaging a lot of my abdominals. I think weighted vests are a little more evenly distributed. So I might question, is the vest the right size? Is it adjusted properly? Or again, time and weight
I think
factors.
I would prefer a rucksack because it would, kind of pull your shoulders back and down. And...
I like it better because it's got, nice shoulder straps. I've got a sternum strap. I have a separated shoulder, so I need the sternum strap to keep it on. And it has a waist strap, so it basically fits like a hiking backpack. And so when it's on me, I feel like it's really integrated in me, and I feel like it's supported.
So instead of it pulling you back, it pulls you down, which is sort of right.
It kind of like it just kind of backing down a little bit. I do have the waist strap pretty snug because I wanted to sit on my hips so that my pelvis is supporting a lot of that weight,
okay.
and it feels pretty good. I think the fit can be an important factor to manipulate and to adjust.
And slow.
Go low and slow, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I've done 30-minute walks and I feel pretty good. I won't change my weight until I can build up to an hour, and then I'll add another 10 pounds.
Okay.
Well, that's good advice.
All right, maybe I need to switch up my vest. I felt very compressed in it. Like it was really weighing me down. And I don't think it was all that heavy. And I lift heavy weights, but for some reason, I don't know, it just felt like I was like...
Huh. Yeah, you should bring it in.
Like
we should take a look at it.
Now I'm thinking of a new invention. Ready? It's a weighted hip belt.
Huh.
If right above your hips, maybe, because then it's not putting that pressure on your spine, and you can rely on your pelvis, like you said, to manage a lot of the weight. It's evenly distributed around your middle. I don't know.
That's a curious one. It's funny because I've worked with a lot of police officers, and their belts are heavy. I can't remember.
Their uniform is so heavy. I think everything
they wear
military
vest,
too. Everything they wear is
got
so
a
heavy.
vest,
The
right?
Kevlar.
And they have the belt with with their side piece, with handcuffs, with this, with that. I think they're like 25 pounds.
Wow.
And so it'd be interesting to see what that distribution of load does to, for people that have more hip osteoporosis versus spinal osteoporosis. It'd be a curious one. I kind of like this. I may have to look into some research articles.
I sense an invention coming.
New product.
From the group
The
here.
digestible podcast.
You just released it.
Yes. Nobody else
edit
make
that
this.
one out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about sciatica. Because people complain about sciatica, and to me it's always been like an old person's thing. But it doesn't seem like it's an old person's thing anymore.
Excuse me. I've had it since my second daughter was born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
there you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what is sciatica, Mark? Can we explain it to us?
Sciatica is referral down one of the legs where the sciatic nerve travels, and it's irritated. It's irritated because of pressure on the nerve, and it does not feel good. I mean, I've had it a couple times. A lot of it is influenced by posture.
There you go.
So some people, again, there's might be a genetic predisposition to it, depending on our disc health. And so basically, sciatica is truly down the back of the leg that follows the path of the sciatic nerve. We're also looking, as clinicians, we're looking at radiculopathies, and that can affect various parts of the leg, and they are different. But true sciatica is the irritation of the sciatic nerve. Some people will look at the piriformis muscle. They call it a piriformis syndrome because of the way the sciatic nerve travels or its relationship with that muscle. So I say that because, for our listeners, I'm putting up 3 fingers in horizontal fashion, and my other 2 fingers are vertical. And so the sciatic nerve may run underneath it. For you all, I'm not looking, this is going to be over it. It may run underneath it or over it, or it may run through it. And so there is an impact of the piriformis. So some people will start stretching their hip or their piriformis muscle to get relief. And that may work. As a dry needler, I've needled someone's piriformis muscle and their leg pain disappeared. And so we can use that diagnostically to isolate whether their issue is a hip issue or whether it's a lumbar issue.
So I have stenosis, which is a lumbar issue, right? Which is
Yes.
just that the piping of the bone where the nerve travels through is narrowed for
Yep.
whatever reason,
Yep.
and so it pinches. And so a lot of it for me is like just positioning, like
Some of
right?
it's positioning. Some of it is, so when it comes to stenosis, there's two types. There's foraminal and then there's central. So
Okay.
foraminal being where the nerves come out on each side. Central is more of the spinal column where the spinal cord travels. So you can have a central stenosis or you can have foraminal. And when we start to lose disc height because of degenerative disc disease, then the discs start to lose height, and then that opening starts to get smaller because the opening is created by two levels of the spine that come together. And when we lose that height, then we lose the
space.
the space or the size of the opening.
So what do you do about that? Because you can't really, you're not gonna have surgery if you don't have to.
Some people do, but some say it's 50-50, right? So they go to PT. We see, is there some postural things we can do as a McKinsey therapist? Then, we work a lot on extension because most people sit. And so sitting can turn into a flexion-based activity because gravity always wins, right? So it's compressing us and we are losing our posture and our spinal neutral positioning. So we do a lot of extension-based stuff, and I'm oversimplifying it. So for the clinicians out there listening, I know that there are sagittal plane and frontal plane approaches to this, but basically working on our posture. Sometimes it's just
How
our
you
body
stand.
saying, sometimes how we stand, but sometimes it's, if maybe we're stressed, maybe we're not eating well, maybe we're not sleeping well.
Okay.
All these things contribute to our pain. And so we have to address those issues because our body is saying something. It's giving us a big red flag going, help me, right? I don't feel good. I have this internal state of inflammation and we need to do something about it. So when we get sciatica, then people are desperate. And then they go to, okay, maybe it's an epidural, maybe it's oral steroids, muscle relaxants, right? It does not feel good because it could be very debilitating.
Yeah.
And so we want instant relief. But what we do long term is we move more, we sit less, we take care of our bodies, we work on our stress reduction, we eat well, we hydrate well, we recover hard. If we're playing hard, we recover harder. And those are a bit nuancy, but they are so impactful. And I think a lot of experienced coaches and clinicians out there will tell you, you have to adjust these lifestyle variables so that our bodies aren't in this constant state of fight.
Right.
At some
Okay.
point, our body's going to be like, I'm done. And
Right.
here you go. So
on Sundays, I have sciatica, but it's like mild to moderate. Like I'm never in a debilitating pain. So what I usually do is I stretch, or I just change my position. If I'm walking, I can change the position of my foot, and it'll help. But like I'll on Sundays, I like to prepare food for the week, and I'll be in the kitchen for like 3 hours standing up, and by the end of the day, my sciatic's stinging, and my lower back hurts, and I'm wearing good shoes and everything, but I'm also not really changing my position very much. My arms
Yep.
and my hands are moving. I'm walking around a little, but so it sounds like what I'm hearing a lot of, Mark, is move around. Like don't stand still, don't sit still for too long. Do something
Yep.
different. Okay.
Yep. The thing
Okay.
about cooking and cleaning, especially cleaning dishes, can be very challenging. Why? Because where's our focus? Our focus is down
in
on
front
a
of it,
counter.
yeah.
Down again.
And so, again, we're being cued to look down, so we may lose a bit of our posture. Again, for a few minutes, no big deal. But if I'm doing dishes for a while, I feel it in my mid back. I feel it in my low back. But
Sure.
regardless, if we're doing a lot of chopping, we're doing a lot of prep, we're not moving as much. So something simple is, changing our foot orientation to kind of give us a little bit more stability. That can help. That can cue something with the pelvis in terms of, going more anterior tilt or rearward tilt, or just teaching someone to do pelvic tilts while they're standing, because the pelvic tilt influences the low back a lot and the
Sure.
spine,
Yeah.
and that can help. And so, so yeah, I think it's a great one to bring up because hopefully everyone's cooking or cleaning or doing something, but it does impact us. So again, but it does go back to static posturing.
Okay. And so to review for sciatica, it could be a piriformis issue, which is the muscle kind of around your hip, back, lower back, upper butt muscle, right? Is that
Kind
where
of
it is?
mid cheek.
Mid cheek. Okay. It's piriformis, or it could be stenosis, which could be spinal in the middle or fragment to the side.
Yeah.
Right?
So foraminal. Yep.
Pyramidal. Good. All
Yep.
these
It's a new
words.
word for you, Missy.
Pyramidal. I think mine's pyramidal. That's my guess. But anyway, and so for piriformis, it could be working the muscle, stretching, and for sciatica, could be, or for the stenosis, it could be changing your position, loosening the muscles around the area.
Yeah, I think I need to throw in that the disc is also involved. So someone has a little mild disc bulge. And that being said, there are people that are walking around pain-free, and the studies have shown, they've taken imaging, MRI imaging, pain-free people, you will find joint arthritis, disc bulges, labral tears, and these are all pain-free people. So what causes the shift? It's basically, sometimes it's drops in the bucket, right? Every day we live our lives and we fill our bucket, right? Here's a bike ride, here's weightlifting, here's a long day in the office, whatever it is, right? And that bucket starts to fill, and then one day, one little drop, and for a lot of people, it's like, I was just reaching down to tie my shoes and my back went out, right?
Yes.
So at that point, their bucket runneth over.
Okay.
And boom, they get pain. So whether it's a combination, because your stenosis, it will change over time. But when you're pain free, your stenosis is still there. So what is the difference? Maybe
So
it's
it
a
could be
disc.
things like you said. Okay, it could be like lifestyle, your sleep, your stress. So inflammation, like things that would cause inflammation, might make those things worse.
Yep.
Or not moving.
And it kind of sounds to me like the answer to every problem is like, get outside, move your body, look up at the sky.
Yes.
I mean, right? If everything is like, oh, you're hunched, you're down, you're whatever, you're sitting too long, you're stagnant. Okay. So if we get outside, we move around and we look up.
Yeah.
Is that the prescription?
Absolutely. You had a guest. I think she was the chiropractor, the one who talked about light therapy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've started doing this. Because I go to sunglasses pretty quick because my eyes get sensitive to glare. But I've started to try and leave them off and try and get the sunlight into my eyes. It's a little bit of everything, right? Recently, I had my blood work done and my vitamin D was tanked. And so it was like, no wonder I felt like garbage. And so I started incorporating that and I start to feel better. So it's, when our systems get out of balance, regardless of what they are, it does. If we're going to simplify it, get outside, move, get off our screens, right? Play more, eat well. Some say 80-20, eat really clean 80% of the time, then give yourself that 20% splurge, right? We have to live. That's part of living.
Yeah.
So, that might be an oversimplification, but we have to, what we do in the clinic is we try and coach people, right? If someone says, oh, I bought a new bike and I rode 500 miles the first week and now my knees hurt, my neck hurts. I'm like, well, yeah, it was a lot, right? They get all excited because the bike is fun. They get to go out and see the world. But it's a lot. So whether it's weighted vest or rucking, cycling, running, barefoot running, right? We have to ease into things because as we are more stationary and static as a society, our tissues acclimate to that. So then when we get back into what we enjoy, we're like, boom, I had a week off and I went and did 10 hours of whatever. Their bodies go, we can only do that. Maybe we could do that when we were 16. But when
not now.
When we're staring at double nickels, like, no, that's not going to happen. We have to be smarter about it.
That would be also then, I think, help make the argument for even if you just have 15 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, moving, and because it gets your tissues sort of in that oh, okay, I don't just sit
Yep.
all day.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
And
you
that-
can go out and do those things on the weekends. Maybe it's not as traumatic.
Absolutely. And that goes back to our first meeting together was chip away at things, right?
Right.
If we can introduce these things, we can reinforce them, even if they're in little nuggets or snacks, right? Some people hate the snack term, but whatever you want to call it, move a little bit. Just if you want to get out of your chair, break up your work, get out of your chair and do 10 squats and then sit back down.
I do do
Or-
that at work sometime. If you ever walk into my office and you see me doing squats today. But like, is it supposed to be after 45 minutes of sitting? You're supposed to get up? Is that
I
right?
tell
Okay.
people
They say?
I tell people to break your positioning at least every 30.
Okay.
Okay.
But you have to see
Yeah.
what works for you. I mean, it's hard for people. I mean, if you tell someone get up after 30 minutes and they're in the middle of a meeting,
Right.
you
They
know,
can't.
that maybe they're leading, they really can't. But what you don't see is, you know, like even sitting here, I'm straightening my legs because I don't want my knees to get stiff. So, you know, doing heel raises, doing toe raises while they're sitting there doing something.
Just
It
get
could
the
be
blood
very
flowing.
easy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I was once at a conference where, you know, there came in and there were speakers all day and there were chairs, lots of chairs. And the room was not totally full. There were plenty of open seats, but there was this guy who looked really healthy in the back standing up.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking to myself, he's standing up because he doesn't want to sit still in a chair for several hours. Like,
Yeah.
and I was
Smart.
Yep.
like, I should do that more. Like,
We should.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. I learned that in grad school because we were sitting for 8 hours a day, and one of the instructors was like, "Just get up and go stand in the back of the room." And so I
Yeah.
did that. I started doing that. So if I'm at a conference, I'll stand in the back. I'll position myself in the back just so I can get up. I won't have to. I'm an introvert, so I don't want to be in the front row. I don't want to have to get up and be all spotlight, like what's that guy's doing? What's that guy doing getting up? I'll sit in the back so it's least intrusive to the presenter, and I'll stand put myself in a corner so I can move a little bit. I can do some pelvic tilts. I just break up that positioning, and then I'll go back and sit down. So
It's
it's
a
very
great idea.
smart.
All right.
Good
So
idea.
move.
Move.
Well, this is all such good advice. I mean, I think, Mark, you made a good point. Like, you can't broad brush everybody because everyone's different. But I think the big things for most people are going to be the same, right? Keep moving your body. Don't, you know, sit for too long. Pay attention to your posture.
Don't look down at your phone all day scrolling.
Yeah.
Yep.
Make sure you remind your
Look
kids.
up at the world.
Have little cues.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think what we do in the clinic, or at least what I try and do, is I try and meet someone where they're at. Right. Again, I like that term. But I'm not going to broad brush anyone. I coach athletes, and what I do is I coach them individually. What's their history? What are they coming into the program with? Same thing in the clinic. What have they been doing? Let's start small. If someone's been exercising 8 hours a week, I'm like, okay, great. Let's take a percentage of that and re-entry and then build up from there. So everyone's picture looks a little different.
That's great. All right, Mark. So what is your takeaway for today? Like, if you could give our listeners an assignment after today's discussion, what are you telling us to do?
Break the cycle. Don't be afraid. Break the cycle. We get locked into our habits, and we just one change to break our cycle can spark a snowball effect of something that could be so impactful in our lives.
Thank you. That like a pivot.
A pivot.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
to say, don't panic, just pivot. Okay.
But people are afraid to pivot. And
Yeah. Yes,
they are.
but they don't like the results of what they're going in with. So they need a push. So
I'm going to
Yeah.
put
Yep.
the little sticky note on my computer because I do the thing where I sit for a long time and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't gotten up in 2 hours. So I'm going to do the sticky. That's going to be my pivot. I love
Perfect.
that. To remind me, move, posture, move.
yes
Mark,
is
do
a
you-
nose.
Mark, do you want to share a new pivot that you have in your life?
It's exactly that. I'm breaking my cycle. I work a lot. I work 7 days a week, and
Wow.
I am, my body has finally said enough, right? And I'm like, okay, something has to change, right? So I've adjusted my schedule so that I can work out more. I've cut out certain things because I battle GERD or acid reflux, and it got so painful, like debilitating. I was in so much pain. So I've cut out certain things. I've cut out sparkly water. I've cut out spicy foods. I've cut out a bit of dairy. I'm just trying little changes, right? Chip away at things, and I feel better. I feel much
good.
better.
That's
so,
awesome.
You
have to be
know,
willing to chip away at things.
Yeah.
you have to be willing to chip away at things, and you have to be willing to break your own cycle.
Break your own
So,
cycle.
Yep.
I like that. That's
your
great.
cycle. I love
Thank
it.
you so much for your time, Mark.
Thanks
This
for
is
coming
fun.
back. This is great.
Thank you for listening to the Digestible Podcast with our returning guest, physical therapist, Mark Payares. Do you know that if you share us, we grow? If you like today's episode, please share us with others. It's the best compliment you can give us. If you have questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. So email us at info@digestiblestrategies.com. We look forward to hearing from you. And remember, don't panic, just pivot. The content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not medical professionals, and the views expressed here are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any health conditions. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making any health-related decisions.